Hello, you're watching NewsX with me, Riya Dwivedi. Now, let's take a look at some breaking news that is coming in. In a major development, NewsX has now accessed the complaint copy of the sanitation worker, the FIR, and the list of attachments submitted by the worker in the Dharmasthala mass burial. And the document, translated from Kannada, details the full sequence of events right from 1998. The former sanitation worker, who worked for the Dharmasthala temple administration from 1995 to 2014, filed his explosive complaint on July 3 with the Dharmasthala police. In the letter, he alleged that over nearly 2 decades, he was coerced into burying or burning the bodies of numerous victims, many of them women and minors who bore signs of sexual assault and brutal violence. And according to his complaint, he was regularly threatened with death if he refused to comply. And when we're talking about that, I also have with me my colleague Belly Thomas joining us on the telecast. Belly, it's a major development that is coming in. What exactly, if you could take our viewers through the details of this FIR and everything that is, all the details that are included in this? Belly, if you could unmute yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Riya. This FIR was registered on July 4th at the Dharmasthala police station after a sanitation worker who appeared out of nowhere, and he had given submissions before a magistrate stating that he was employed at Dharmasthala over a period from 1995 onwards to 2014, where he was employed as with a cleaning employment. What started as a regular employment turned out to be, indulging in hiding horrific crimes is what he has stated in the complaint. And he initially starts off his complaint with insurmountable guilt that he has come up now, and he's giving a submission to the law enforcement authorities, as he had no other choice than he had to indulge in covering up these horrific crimes, because his life was also in danger and his family's life was also in danger. So this is how he begins his complaint with. And he goes on to say that it was on 11 years ago he ran away, or he disappeared from Dharmasthala, along with his family, after meted out with continuous things like that. So he goes on to say that when his own family members, a woman from his own family members, was subjected to a torture like this, that was when he decided that he would not continue this work, and he went away. So he goes on with this complaint that there were several of dead bodies that were asked to be buried by his supervisors with him from 1995 onwards. It was without the police notice, that without informing the police is what he was asked or instructed to bury these bodies. And he tells in the complaint that these bodies were found, without clothes or undergarments, and most of them were women and minor girls, and the bodies of whom bear injuries of sexual assault violence. Some of the bodies were burnt with acids, and it clearly had signs of sexual assault, is what he states in his complaint. So these bodies were either asked to be buried or to be burnt, is what he said. Then he goes on to say that there were 2 or 3 instances where he's unable to forget at all, and it comes haunting to him all the time. So the first incident was about when his supervisors called to a specific spot at the Dharmasthala forest, which is around 500 meters from a petrol pump in Kalleri, where he had gone to find a body of a teenager girl, an estimated age roughly about to be 12 to 15, and she had her school uniform shirt, but she didn't have her skirt or undergarments, and her body clearly had the signs of sexual violence, and she also had strangulation marks on her neck, is what he states in his complaint. And this particular body was asked him, like he was instructed to dig a pit next to the body and bury the body of the schoolgirl along with her school bag, is what he said. And this particular incident is haunting him till date, is what he states in his complaint. The second incident is that he was asked to go to a specific location where he found a body of a woman in her 20s. There too, her face was burnt with acid and her body was covered with newspaper. So at this particular location, the supervisors had instructed him to burn the body and not to bury it. So he was asked to collect the belongings and the slippers of this particular body, and he was asked to pour diesel on that and burn it fully, so that there are no trace remains. And the third incident, what he enumerates, is what, like, how the destitute men were systematically murdered at the site. So there were a lot of destitute men who arrive at Dharmasthala, and they would start begging. And according to his complaint, the a specific supervisor or supervisors, they used to cruelly murder these kind of destitute men. They would be tied to the chairs, and from behind they would be suffocated using towels. And these murders happened in front of him, the sanitation worker, is what he states in his complaint. So all these, giving all these three instances as the basis of his complaint, he goes on to say that he wants all these tormented souls to get, to rest in peace, so that once the bones or body parts are exhumed and given proper final rites, which have not been given, so he would come out of that sin. So that is what it was haunting him. And he says that he had fled Dharmasthala in 2014 after one of his own woman from his own family was subjected to sexual assault by a person connected to the supervisors at the temple organization, is what he said. So he requests the law enforcement authorities or the magistrate that he is ready to show all these places where he had buried the bodies. This is along the Netravati river near the Dharmasthala temple, where the bodies would come flowing. And initially he thought that these bodies were cases of suicide, but later on he started observing that many of the bodies of women were without clothes or undergarments. So this is and even bore signs of sexual assault. So this is when he found out that there is something going on. And when he knew that the supervisors were instructing him not to report it to the police, that was when he got to know that he was indulged in covering up horrific crimes that had happened during that time. So now he goes on to say that for proving himself right, what he had done is that he had gone himself and dug a particular bodies and brought the skeletal remains along with him. He has taken photographs of the skeleton also, and then he had walked to this magistrate in the Dakshina Kannada district, and he had deposed himself before him, stating that this is one of the bodies that I buried, and this is the skeletal remains of that, and he would be able to cooperate with all the information what he has. The only thing what he needs is what the protection under the Witnesses Act, and his family also will be in trouble. And he initially didn't give any details about the accused persons, as they are he claims that they are very influential and has the powers or are even capable of eliminating him and his family members. So this is the reason he is not giving the accused people accused persons names, identities at this point of time. However, when as and when time goes, and when he's convinced about his safety and his family's safety, he will certainly give out the names who had instructed him what, and he would stand with all the law enforcement formalities or procedures what needs to be done. He also says that the exhumation of the body and giving it a final rights would ensure that he sleeps in peace or spend his rest of his life in a peaceful manner.